Hello and welcome to the SEO plus AI show. My name is Josh. Let's test some SEO Bashinsky. Today I'm joined by George Johnson from George Digital. Say hi there, George.
Hello.
If you've never seen the SEO plus AI show before, we are the finest place on the YouTubes to get information about SEO and AI and the intersection of SEO and AI and how you can use AI to improve your SEO to drastically reduce costs and to drastically increase output. And so today we have a very special show. We're going to test a few different AI writers, and we're going to see how they stack up against our AI writer in SEO Copilot. Uh, uh, and we're going to see the different metrics that SEO Copilot has that guarantee you're going to get good rankings. If you want to see the statistical proof, go back a few weeks and see my how they ranked number one is 2-3 weeks ago now, and that shows how our scores correlate with rankings, and actually cause good rankings. And we've been checking that for a number of months now. So we're going to check to see the scores of these other writers in our system, and we're going to check to see how well they do. So that's what we're going to do. But before we get to that, I have a couple housekeeping things to get to today. We have a long-running segment on the show called "Is Josh broadcasting to YouTube correctly?" So let's go check to see if that's the case. Is Josh broadcasting scores of these? Yes, I am. I'm broadcasting to YouTube correctly. Woo! Okay. So if you're watching the show live, by all means, ask any questions you want live in the chat. Also, you can ask any questions below the description in the comments. We do two shows. We do a live show, which we're now doing at 11 a.m. on Tuesdays Pacific time. So 1 hour later. So it's a new time slot. And we also do a produced show on Fridays at 10 a.m. Again, you can try all that out. Also, a couple other housekeeping things to get through. If you want to make sure you're notified as to when that we're doing the show, click the bell, smack the monkey, kick the goat, and the gonads. Whatever you need to do down there to get notified that we've gone live, please do so. And last couple of housekeeping things, the SEO Copilot I'm showing you today, I can give you a 10% discount on that. You can find it in the description. And if you have any other SEO questions, just email me at joshbashinsky@gmail.com. All right. So let's get right to it. Let's do some SEO testing. Before we do that, let's go to George here and ask George, how are things going, George? What's new in SEO? How are you feeling today?
New things in SEO. The big news right now is the reputation algo update,
Mm-hmm.
where sites like Forbes and say Sports Illustrated or any other very large, everyone clicks on it for their specialty
Yeah.
site. They were basically doing these little fun little like side legs of their websites where they're doing things that are completely unrelated to the
Right.
full
Yeah. Yeah.
subject matter and getting ranked on it because they were who they were. They were just
Yes.
big, huge entities. So it's like, oh well, Forbes is writing about it. So even though they're talking about vitamins,
Yeah.
for health,
With
right?
affiliate
Health
links.
things
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
affiliate links, like
Yeah.
okay, well then I know they're yeah. Anyway, so Google is trying to do their best, and in general, that idea is called parasite SEO,
Yes.
and that is what is being sort of carteled with that algorithm. Will it work? We're still seeing the results.
Indeed, indeed. So yeah, so they people have been complaining obviously for many years that people could do this. You could buy an article on Forbes or wherever and get some rankings from it pretty easily. But so it's interesting, and it's already rolled out, so we should see the effects. And so once I heard that, I was like, okay, I'll check mine. So let me share the screen and show everybody here. Let me go here, and I have a parasite page I use for testing, and it's link building specialist. So if I do the search for this, as I did earlier today, I'm still ranking number 2 for link building specialist in the US. And for what is a link building specialist is a link building specialist. I changed the query up here. It's the US, no personalization in English. You check that one. I'm number 2 here as well. So it looks like maybe I got hit by one spot for this parasite page update. This page, of course, was built in SEO Copilot, which I'll be showing people today. This was built in SEO Copilot, and I just added the images and added the Twitter feed and stuff like that. So interestingly, there's no change there for the parasite SEO. If I change this to China and I remove geolocated traffic, I am number one for it. So that was a geolocated traffic issue. And if I go here and go back to the original query, link building specialist, I am again number one. So in terms of on page, in terms of backlinks, in terms of authority, all those things are still being tracked. The only thing I've done from changing it to GL equals CN China from GL equals US, the only thing I've changed is the geolocated traffic, and I go up a spot. So I don't know. I don't think it's either in operation or I guess if you have good on page from SEO Copilot, you'll get past it. I'm not really sure. What do you think about that, George?
I would make the argument that it being a LinkedIn website and you're talking about job description, I think it falls wholly inside of what LinkedIn's supposed to be about.
True. That is true. That's very true. So that could be the reason why that particular page wasn't hit with the other supposed parasite page hits. So that's interesting. So we're going to have to keep watching that. We're going to have to keep our eyes on that, see if there are some areas that are getting big boosts from using giant brands, but for content that has nothing to do with that brand. We're going to have to see how that plays out in the future. Alrighty. Okay, so now let's go to some more testing. Let's do what we said we're going to do today. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to take a bunch of content here, 2 different pages. We're going to take understanding superfood mushrooms. Superfood mushroom we're going to do. And we're going to do 3 ways to explain a square. 3 ways to explain a square. So what we've done here is we've taken some content from superfood mushroom from words.com. And we're going to take also, I'll do superfood mushroom on ChatGPT as well. I'll do it. And we're going to test it here and see what the scores get. Then we're going to compare that to what we get from SEO Copilot. And I'm going to try and do this live and try to make sense of it. So we got 3 ways to explain a square. We've got understanding superfood mushroom. Then we got superfood mushroom from SEO Copilot. We have words superfood mushroom, and we got 3 ways to explain a square. So let me quickly here go into ChatGPT. Let me refresh this. Okay, boom. So understanding superfood mushrooms. This is rerun. Let's check the content on this really quickly. Whoo! We got tons of content in here. We got high scores. And I'll tell everyone now, completely blatantly, this is not some fake test where suddenly SEO Copilot is going to do better than everything else. You're like, oh, look at this. I'm doing a real live test where my SEO Copilot might do a good job, might do not a good job. It really depends on the query. These are kind of head term queries. Superfood mushroom is not necessarily, it's a head term query. I don't know off the bat that my tool is going to knock it out of the park, but I want to show how the scores work, and I want to show why the scores are good. Same deal with the rest of them. I don't know how Words is going to do. I haven't tested it yet. I don't know how ChatGPT is going to do, but let's find out. So let's go to ChatGPT, and we'll see which one is better out of the box. Write me an article on superfood mushroom. So boom, very simple. Write me an article on superfood mushroom. So it's writing it now. I'll go into ChatGPT here. And let's just see. Write me an article on what is a square, because that's basically what the topic is. Or 3 ways, you can see I did, 3 ways to explain a square. Okay, so ChatGPT is writing it. So here we go. We got an article from ChatGPT. You just go in and just the simplest prompt, write me an article on superfood mushroom. A lot of people are doing this for SEO. A lot of people are just going to ChatGPT and having it write the article, right? And then we got ChatGPT writing on squares here. So let's check it out. So the first one here is 3 ways to explain a square. And this was from this was my article from SEO Copilot. I put a little comment in here, and right away we see 3 great scores. We see the spam score is 0. It says the content provided does not seem to be spammy. It does not use the banned search phrase 3 ways to explain a square. That is to say the EMQ. When I say banned search phrase there, I'm talking about the EMQ and stuffing the EMQ many times unnaturally. It says it uses it in a way that is not arbitrary or for keyword stuffing purposes. Instead, it uses the phrase in a contextually appropriate manner, which is what you want to do. Introducing the topic of the article, the content is informative and appears to be written with the intent to educate the reader about the characteristics of a square, which aligns with the likely query intent. So there you go. We're aligning with the query intent. That's what you want. The language used is varied and engaging, which is again what you want, which suggests an attempt to make the content appealing to a human reader. However, to further improve the content, there's still ways to improve. The author could provide more specific examples or practical applications of the concepts discussed. And if you wanted to add those in SEO Copilot, it'd be very easy. You just go up here to content and you click on the various AIs you find there. You go to content, you go to helpful content, and you get it to demonstrate first-hand expertise or give you more information. Or you go in here to product review and you decide to put a pros and cons. I don't know what the pros and cons would be in the 3 ways to explain a square, but that would be much more relevant to articles we'd be doing in SEO. And anyway, you can identify the key decision-making factors. You can add in all of these. In fact, we got these directly from Google. These questions here and these suggestions come directly from Google on how to make high-quality content, and our AI will take them into account. And as I proved last week, it'll do it with the current information that is highly truthful, way more truthful as compared to other algorithms in other writing apps. Now we're checking the other scores. Before last week we tackled whether AI could write factual, truthful content, and our AI definitely can. But today we're going to test the other scores and see how well they do. So what I'm going to do here is, this is the SEO Copilot. I'm going to rerun this just to check to see. Now let's go here and check to see understanding superfoods. So we have the same kind of issue. We have a spam score, a very high semantic score. The heat score is in the green, which is good. That's what you want. It is insightful, and it gives information that is beyond the obvious. So that's a good thing. We want all these to be at least 6 or 7 or higher, so that's good. But for understanding superfood mushrooms, it says that we, sadly, say it too much. It says the content of the webpage is informative and seems to be aimed at educating the reader about the benefits of superfood mushrooms, specifically lion's mane and OM varieties. The language used is engaging and does not appear to be stuffed with keywords. However, the banned phrase superfood mushroom, lion's mane, and OM are used, which increases the spam score. So we are using it more. So my spam score is very smart, and I've statistically proven that it'll help you rank better. In fact, people who used our spam score ranked on average, instead of getting 7-spot boost on average, they're getting an 8.6 spot boost on average. So we know the spam scores work, and we know the spam scores are helping people not make spammy content. And that's the beautiful thing about AI, as I'm sure George would agree, is that we're automating the process of making white hat content, and it's fully white hat content.
Yes. I laugh. I always laugh when you say white hat, because I'm a purist in that idea that you try it all. You think about ranking, it's not white hat.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, you can get philosophical about it and be like, any attempt at trying to rank is technically black hat. So I don't know why for years the white hats thought there was such a thing, but we do. That's what we do here on the show. All we do is white hat content, without getting into any kind of philosophical debates about what's going on. Okay, so sorry, George, can you hear my cat meowing in the background?
Yes.
Yes? Okay, I might have to let her in. Okay, sorry guys, let me just pause 1 second. Let me let the cat in so she stops complaining. Sorry guys, just 1 second. My wife is gone, and so the cat's alone. Well, so now she's happy.
Well, if it means anything, you might
now-
be able to hear
So
my
here she is.
daughter at some point.
Now she's happy. Now she can be happy that she's on the show. So this is the SEO cat. Say hello, SEO cat. Okay, shut up, cat. Go lie down
Yeah.
over here. Okay. Lie down. There. Now she's lying down. She'll probably walk in front of the camera and whatnot. Okay. Okay. So it looks like out of the box we're getting at least 2 or 3 of the metrics that we want on the articles. So let's go see how the other articles are doing. So what I'm going to do here to keep things clear, I'm going to go here to this first one, and here's the body spam score, and I'm going to do a control print screen there. So I've got a screenshot of these scores. And the scores are on 3 ways to explain a square right out of the box. I didn't do anything other than generate an article. I didn't touch it. We have a green spam score. We're in the green there. We have, and all the other spam scores here are good. The meta description is good. The body spam score is only 30 because we are saying 3 ways to explain a square quite a lot of times, but otherwise it thinks it's fine. It's green. The only the heat score is in the green. We're being very helpful. We've got 7 or higher. I've clicked this a couple times. I clicked it by accident there. The average predictability length score, which is very important. Now, this is the one, George, that everyone complains about for AI. Everybody thinks that AI content is somehow going to derank you, which is totally untrue. We found that statistically, as long as you have less than 4 words on average in a row, that what the AI would produce, the very first word the AI would choose, if you have more than 4 of those in a row, that starts to say, well, clearly you can't flip a coin that many times and get heads, your AI content. But if you're under that, you're fine. And if you're at 4.1, you're still fine as well. So 4.1 and lower is perfectly fine and ranks perfectly fine statistically. So if your AI can nail that, your AI is fine. And I always like to say for cause correlation fallacy, the SEO world likes to do these studies. I'm sure you'll find this funny too. The SEO world likes to do these studies where they're like, okay, there's a big update. Everyone's screaming and complaining. And they're like, oh, what is it? And this time they're like, oh, well, statistically, AI content seems to have been hit. Even tiny, a tiny little statistical correlation, by the way, I'll remind everybody. And they're like, oh, I guess it's AI content. That's like saying, I can give you 100% correlation. Every single web page that was hit by Google is made with HTML. Therefore, HTML must cause a spam penalty, right? And that's called cause correlation fallacy, right? Just because you found a correlation doesn't mean there's a cause. And I can give you 100% correlation that every single web page hit had HTML in it. And therefore, if the bigger correlation should be causal, that's not how it works, right? So, and we know for a fact here that it's not about AI content. What it is these 4 scores are what statistically correlates, that you're either over-optimized or under-optimized, or that you have higher than 4 words in a row that it was the AI would generate, that you're not helpful, you don't have the helpfulness, you don't have the experience, you don't have the expertise, you don't have the authority or the trust keywords in there that Google says you need to do to have high quality content. Like if you ask what specifically is high quality content, it's this. You got to be helpful, you got to show your experience, you got to show your expertise, you have to show your authority, and therefore you'll get the trust, right? And last but not least, you can't be making spam that's stuffing keywords in there. Another way to check is to go here into the SEO column and see how many times they mention the EMQ in the body and how many times they mention E and Qs in the headers, and also what numbers you're missing. But see, I didn't even add any. I didn't change it from the way it was generated. It uses one EMQ in the article, 3 ways to explain a square. It's in the H1. I didn't change that, right? This is the way it gets generated outside of the article. Even though I can go in here and I could check and I could see in entities on score on words that I'm using it once, 3 ways to explain a square, and the competition is using it 0. I'm pointing that out for a reason. That might not be a good idea, but I'm going to leave it alone, right? I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to see how the other things do. So I've taken a screenshot of this one. So here's the screenshot. Let me go into my screenshots really quickly. Let me scroll down. Okay, so boom, here it is. So here is the one that was from SEO Copilot. Is 30%, 38, 85, 314. Okay, so now let's go in here and let's delete this. Now let's go in here and grab the one that I believe it was yourself, right? 3 ways to explain a square. Where do I have it? SEO Copilot. Understand if you should be mushrooms. Oh, I didn't grab it. Where did I put it? I have to find it again. Where did I put it? Can't find it. Sorry, 1 second. Let me dip here into here. It was sent to me by George. So George probably has it here. And so we got ZimWriter. We have 3 ways to explain a square with 4 turbo and 3 ways to explain a square with 3.5. So we'll do the score turbo first.
Yeah, this is using their one-click blog feature. So there's, it's very analogous to using the ChatGPT if you're trying to bang out a ton of content. Fastest way to go about it.
Yeah. You said this is ZimWriter?
Yes.
Okay, so this one's ZimWriter. So we've got a meta description. We have the main model, GPT-4 Turbo, about 118 words. 3 ways to explain a square. Okay, so let's grab it. Okay, so we have it. Let's go here to here. Let's paste it in. Boom. Okay, and then let's run everything. Let's run the spam score. Let's run the content score. The content score is worse. Let's run the heat score. And finally, let's run, the heat score is still in the green. It's a little bit worse, but it's still in the green. And we're on the average predictability length. The average predictability length is terrible. It's in the red. Interesting. Okay, so 3 ways to explain a square. It says the meta description is the worst one. The body, it's like, this is fine. The body content is informative and well structured. It does not show any signs of keyword stuffing or SEO style repetitiveness. The phrase 3 ways to explain a square is used only once and in a context that is relevant and meaningful. The content seems to be written for a human audience with the intent to provide useful information about the topic. It does not appear to be trying to manipulate search engine rankings. A quality rater would likely pass this page for a high ranking on Google search engine as the content matches the likely query intent. So that's fascinating. So the spam score is better, but these 2 scores, this Google semantic score is worse. Let's see here. We'll check the screenshot again. Here's the screenshot. It was 38, but theirs is 33. Our heat score was 85. Theirs is 81, but still in the green. Our predictability length was only 3. It's only 3 words on average what the AI would say, as opposed to this is 4 1/3 words on average what the AI would say. It's in the red. This would have a ranking problem compared due to our algorithms. This would have a bigger ranking problem compared to our algorithms and compared to our statistical data correlative analysis, which again I share publicly. I've done it twice now of this year, and I did it once last year. So although ours is a bit better, it's 38. It's getting closer to the number it needs to be at. It's not there yet. It's not there yet. So which one would you be better off using? Quite frankly, you'd be better off using ours out of the box. It's only got 1 score in the red. The spam score is a bit higher, but you need to use a bit more content. So all I would do if we were using ours out of the box, let me go back to it here. Here's ours out of the box. All I would do is I would add in some more content underneath. It should be, the article should be longer, right? So what I would do is I'd come in here, I'd go into content, I'd go into product review, I'd go into helpful content actually, and I would say, okay, please add all these things in here, right? And then we say add, close. Okay, so it says, so to review. I would just say so to review. Just read the content and give it a some kind of title. That's all the same information. And of course, this is just an example of 3 ways to explain a square. In an SEO article, you'd also be able to add pros and cons. You'd be able to add key decision-making factors as well. And you'd be able to get that content up that content score up by adding more content because you need more content. We're only at 1,400 words. We need to be closer to 2,000. Okay, so, oh, now the cat's falling off the desk. Don't fall asleep and fall off the desk, cat. Boom. So we paste that in there. Take this, turn it off there. Pros and cons, decision-making factors, boom, boom, boom. So I would clean up this content obviously a little bit here, but if I hit that, you see the score should go up a bit. Boom. I moved the score up 20 points, easy, just by adding content and clicking some buttons. So out of the box, ours works better than theirs does. Theirs had 2 reds out of the box. Ours only had 1 red out of the box. So on the example, 3 ways to explain a square, it looks like we win. Again, and if people are saying, yeah, but that's according to your scores, Josh, my answer is yes, but those statistically correlate with rankings. Go back and watch the 2 videos I put out now of the statistical data correlation of how these scores correlate very strongly with higher rankings. You have to be in the Goldilocks zone for the content score. You cannot be over or under. That's the biggest one. If you are in the red on that score, you're definitely not going to rank well. On also the spam scores correlate highly with rankings, and the average predictability scores correlate highly with rankings. You need to be in the green there. And so if it's complaining a little bit, it's like 30% in the green for the spam score. That's probably fine. George, do you find the same kind of thing? What do you think about this whole thing?
I do find that, when you're starting to create a lot of pages, right? The idea of which one is better out the box means a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Because everyone has access to AI, and even if you do know all the tactics and all the best ways to optimize a page, even according to your statistics, right? You're still trying to make them add value,
Right.
right? So you want to get closest to optimization first. So that, yeah, it's very helpful to be able to have it as close to that as possible with your tool.
Yeah, I would agree for sure. Now, we haven't checked ChatGPT, so let's go in here and share the screen. Let's check ChatGPT out. So let's go in here and delete this content again. And let's go in here to ChatGPT. And we were doing 3 ways to understand a square. So let's take from the top here, go down. Now ChatGPT has given us way less content. We could see right away it's way less content. What we have here from ChatGPT is, and it doesn't matter that it doesn't have the headings in it. That doesn't change the scoring per se. Okay, so now let's rerun this. Let's rerun this. Boom. Oh, we're way under. Let's rerun this because we're way too short here. Way too short. And the heat score is fine. And let's rerun this. Okay, so right away we can see that ChatGPT, and that was GPT-4, has an issue. It didn't do a very good job at all for generating this content. It's way too short, as you can see. The score is way under where the semantic score, where it needs to be, all the boosting semantic keywords, the various different AIs that Google uses. It's way too short. It says it gives us the meta description problem because...
Was that 4 or 3.5?
This is, let me see. Oh, this is 3.5 here. Look at that. This was 3.5. You're absolutely right. Sorry. This is 3.5. So I did 4 here and 3.5 here for some reason. That doesn't make any sense. Okay. So in 3.5, I could do 4 in a second. In fact, let's go to 4. Let's go here and ask 4 to do it. See if 4 is any better. Boom. I can even say, make the article around 2,000 words. I can even do that to give it a leg up, right? Which people might not remember to do, and they won't know what the actual words they need to build is unless they're using our tool to find out what the perfect word count is. But there are tools that say a word count, so let's presume that works and is good. And I'll tell that to run. So let's go back here. And last but not least, so here on but we are under the average predictability length, which is interesting. So out of the box, GPT-4 gave us way too little content. We'd have to add a lot more, right? A lot more to get the content. The spam score is good, the heat score is good, and the predictability is good, but this score is going to go way up when we add more content. We are like we're at like 20% of the content where we need to be, almost 10% of the content where we need to be. We need to be actually at 3,000 words. So
Yeah, I would say that this is why prompt engineering has become an actual profession and
mhm,
title,
yeah,
because it does take more than just write me an article, right? Like
yeah,
you do have to, well, one, you have to know what numbers you want to get, right? There's
exactly.
number one. And then two, then you got to massage the prompt and make sure that you're talking to it the right way. You kind of have to talk to it like a child, but also like a scientist somehow. So
Yes, exactly.
like a Doogie Howser, maybe. You have to talk
Like
to
a
Doogie
Doogie
Howser.
Howser. Yes, you need to talk to it like a Doogie, like a child, but a scientist in some way. That's the joke of the day. That's perfect. That was yes, exactly. You need to talk to it like a child, but somehow like a scientist at the same time. Yeah, that doesn't make a lot of sense, but you're exactly correct. That's how you need to talk to it. Completely explanatory and very precise in some way, shape, or form as well. Okay, so that was GPT 3.5. And so it had a way worse score out of the box. For the content score, it's only at 400 words. You need to really beef that up. So what happens when we take the 4 output and it's supposed to make it much longer. Uh, it says, I'll break it down into 3 main. Okay, great. I'm glad you're happy about that. Okay, I don't think it made that many words, but let's find out. Let's paste it in here. Boom. Let's.
Like it has some philosophy in there.
It looks like it has some philosophy in here.
Cultural symbolism.
But it's only 467 words. It's nowhere near 2,000 words. If I run the spam score, the content score, the content score is a bit better. It's a little longer. The heat score, yeah, the heat score is going to be confused because it's like, I don't know. How do you talk about 3 ways to explain a square? You explain it. Like this doesn't need 3,000 words, but the Wikipedia article on this probably is like 5,000 words long of the history of philosophy of a square, getting into the Pythagoreans and how the square was. Did you know for the Pythagoreans, the square is the number 4, and it's also the symbol for justice because it has 4 perfectly equal angles on each side. There's your philosophy note for the day, George, just to fill your brain up with more useless information from me. So how did GPT-4 do? Drum roll. SEO cat, how did it do? She's sleeping. Now she's looking at me annoyed. It didn't do well, is the answer. So it's at 24. It's only 467 words. Even though I told it to do 2,000 words, it waxed poetically about how it would be interested in doing it, but didn't do it. So again, we've done this experiment before. We're doing it again. This is what you get out of the box. You get 1,300 words more. You get much closer to what you need. A little bit thicker in terms of the content. This is the highest semantic score we got out of the box. And I showed you how you could easily add content to bring that up. And on a real SEO article, the pros and cons would be valid, because no one's trying to rank for how to do a square. Oh, there goes the cat. There goes the cat destroying everything in the process.
So no, to speak on
It's
that
chaos.
idea, to speak on the idea again that this gets closer faster. The way that you would want to do it with ChatGPT is you probably would break it out and have multiple prompts for each section
Yep.
and kind of hope and pray that they all match up together,
Yes, yes,
right?
yes.
Because yeah, ChatGPT has a hard time writing too much past 500 words,
Yep.
and if you're looking for 2,000, 3,000 words, then you got to do some fun prompt magic, which is to use a tool like, SEO Copilot.
Yeah, exactly. And let me tell you, that's a lot of manual work of making sure each section is exactly as long as you need and has the exact content you need and is not repeating itself too much, but is not repeating itself too little as well, because you need to have the semantic score at the end of the day. And then, not only is that a problem, but the content you created in ChatGPT is not current. It's only current. I mean, the square has been the same for the last ever. It's one of those immortal ideas in Plato's realm of the forms. So there's nothing new. What's going on in the world of squares? There's nothing new in the world of squares. So this is a bad example in that regard. But on other things,
Superfood's better.
yeah, it's superfood mushroom, yeah. But on other things, I mean, this is a great example. It's still fine. But on other things, the current information matters. And as I showed last week, other tools do not do a good job with current information. But SEO Copilot, I made a very complex chain of thought ideation, a little mini SEO AGI that's thinking and it's getting the current information, it's building it. It's building all the sections, it's building all the content, and nailing these scores. Quite often, all four of them out of the box. If it's down on one of them, it's down on any of them. Usually, lately it's only down on one of them after the updates I just made from the last all hands meeting we did 3 weeks ago. So we are retooling the system, rebuilding the system. We're going to come back stronger than ever. Right now, I have a programmer working on the system. It's going to be down for a day or two. But in the next few days when we get it up, maybe hours, but maybe days. But the next few days when we get it up, you're going to see that you can get a green score on all of these pretty quickly, which is pretty impressive. Okay, so now let's go. Let's close this. Now let's go here. Let's close this one. Now let's go here to superfood mushrooms. So let's go back here to superfood mushrooms. So again, this was the one that I did out of our tool out of the box, right? It's 1900 words. It is way too long, and it's got the EMQ in here a couple times, right? So that's why we have such a high, these editions of it right here are why we have such a high spam score. And I could fix both the spam score and the semantic score being too big by going down here and just deleting a good 900 words of this, right? I could just cut this in half. I could just cut this in half from here, and then we'd have much better scores. But I'm not even going to do that. So I'm going to take a screenshot of this as well, and then I'm going to go into here. I'm going to go into so remove this. So remove this. Okay, so now we have one from words that's been created, which is a different tool, of course. Let's take the one from words, and I have no idea how well this is going to work, but I'll take all the HTML and I'll paste in the HTML here, and I'll save it. So now we've changed it, right? The power of superfood mushrooms. The power of superfood mushrooms. This is the one from words. Now I'm going to rerun all the scores, and while that's running, I'm going to go here and open up the one that I just had. So this one was ours. I'll close this. And this one is theirs. So the spam score is less. However, the semantic score is way over. The heat score, we'll see in a second, is 82. It's a little bit better. And we were 1900 over. They're only 1500, so they're only 500 over. We were 900 over. But look at the average predictability length. It is clearly written by an AI. It's 6.27. It is a full 2 points of 2 words of obvious predictability that clearly an AI wrote this, right? Or clearly, it doesn't matter if an AI wrote it or not. Google doesn't care if an AI wrote it or not because they were dealing with spinning and auto-generated content before AI ever came along. So again, out of the box, we have it's equal, really. We have a spam score, which is a little too high. We have a semantic score, which is a bit too high. This one semantic score is just as high. It's too high. And however, the predictability length is too high. This is definitely going to sink the rankings, and it is way out. So this is a much bigger problem than this, quite frankly. Sometimes you can have a high spam score when you say things too much. Like, as long as you're not saying it for the purposes of SEO. Now, what do they say about the spam score? They say the content of this page, and I'm looking at the words page. The content of the page is informative and provides a good overview of superfood mushrooms. It does not seem to be keyword stuffing as the phrases are used naturally and in context. The content is likely to satisfy the query intent of a user looking for information on superfood mushrooms. However, the phrase superfood mushrooms is repeated a few times, which could be seen as an attempt to rank for this keyword. To avoid this, the author could use synonyms or related terms. The content does not use any of the banned phrases, which again are all of the query interpretation equivalent queries to superfood mushroom, like superfood mushrooms. You can get banned for those as well. So that's why those are in the banned phrases. That's what that means. To avoid this, do not use any of the banned phrases. A quality rater would likely pass this page for high ranking as it provides valuable and relevant information. So in terms of the spam score and the heat score, the words article is just as good, but the problem is for the semantic score, it is bad, just as bad, even though it's smaller, so it's got more keyword stuffing in it of other words, and it's got an average predictability length that definitely is going to nail this page. This is going to be a huge issue right here. That's going to nail this page.
It's going to be a lot of editing.
And it's going to be, a lot of editing. Right now I need to go and manually de-score it. And the only place you could do that would be here in our tool is manually de-score it.
Right.
Also, it's got these links at the bottom here, which they think would help, which may not necessarily help. It depends on what they're linking to here. They look like they're all governmental links, so it could, I'm not going to comment on that. It's neither here nor there. It's not necessarily a problem. Another couple things about this article which are going to be the issue is all the things here that they're missing. They're missing really big, powerful entities like superfoods, powder, maitake. I presume I'm pronouncing that correctly. They're missing some words here as well. That they're missing a spread of a breadth of keywords that are important to be putting in the page. So the final verdict, let me put it back to our article here. This one is ours, Understanding Superfood Mushrooms. Yeah, that one's ours. As I said, if I just go down here and I decide to go, okay, navigating your purchase, preparing your delivery, preparing your mushroom delivery, if I get rid of this keyword here and get rid of that information, get that here, the cost of superfood mushrooms, mushroom items, I'll get rid of superfood there, so I'm getting rid of the EMQ. There we go, that might do a little bit better. Exploring the power of superfood mushrooms, dive into lion's mane and OM varieties, let's make that the H1. And then I'll redo this, and I'll redo this. Already the content score is way lower. I'll redo the heat score, make sure I didn't remove too much helpful content. The body spam score is down in the green. It's 20. It's fine now. The heat score went up to 85. It's great. And if I show you the predictability length, that's going to go way down.
I want to also mention that, so with the other tool, you do not know, right? You do not know that these things are off, right? Yeah. So you're going to go in and say, oh, everything is fine, right? Mm-hmm. And then when you're sitting there and you say, oh, look at this, I made it to spot number 8. What do I do now?
Yeah.
Right? When you probably could have gotten much higher with on page. Mm-hmm. Then you start to scramble and like, oh, what do I do? What do I do? The client wants to rank higher. The client wants to go higher. And then you start saying, well, what else is there? Well, there's backlinks.
Yes.
Right. Which is, it's viable, but it's not as safe by any means.
Yeah. No, it's not as safe.
Right. And Google has to come around every once in a while and slap people. So, for having too many backlinks or not the right backlinks or whatever. So it's best to stay away from them if you can. But I guess what I'm saying is that these other tools, if you're not careful, will push you towards that, which will also push you towards, like I said, getting slapped around a little bit.
Exactly. Yeah. You're exactly right. I mean, if you do on-page properly, like we're doing in SEO Copilot, the scores get you in the best possible place you could possibly be statistically. And then you have more options and less risk in trying to optimize and update from there in the kind of SEO moves you can make. Now, if you guys are like, Josh, we don't know what SEO moves to make, email me at joshbashinsky@gmail.com. We give free training every second Friday in SEO Copilot to just talk about SEO Copilot. Really, You can join. You can join for that in the app. It's every second Friday is free. You can email me at joshpachinski@gmail.com. I could tell you how to do the link building properly. I could tell you what the other moves are. But George's point is a perfect point, and that does not in any way refute George's point. The point is that you need your on page to be as potent as possible, so that you get as high as possible on page alone, and you're not risking all these other dodgy SEO tactics, to put it the way the Brits do. They like the word dodgy. These dodgy SEO practices. Sorry, that's my terrible British accent. These dodgy SEO practices you don't want to be doing. So you don't, I sound like I'm a witch on Harry Potter or something. So you don't want to be doing these dodgy SEO practices, and so you need your on page to be as powerful as possible. So as I said here, I'm making one little move, deleting some of the extra content and going down here in the word count. What happened here is the spam score got better right away. It's probably fine with it now. It's like, fine, okay, no problem. I got rid of the extra EMQs that got stuffed in there. So it's superfood 22 times, but yeah, it's not being used 22 times. Superfood mushrooms. That's an error. Superfood mushroom is rooms. It has an S on the end of all of those. Rooms. There's an S on the end of all those. Rooms. S on the end of all those. Yeah, so it's fine. It's perfectly fine. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah. So now I'm using it less times. That'll be better. And the score is a little high. Now here's a pro tip of what I can do. I can go in here and I can check in the test pages, not test pages, sorry, under competitors. I can go to Google Semantic Scoring, and I can see who is ranking here and who's a big blog and shouldn't be here. Layered Superfoods shouldn't be here. Whole Food Market. Layered Superfoods is probably messing this up, probably. So quite frankly, the averages of 65% are probably off. If I take this and I do a quick recalc on the averages, and get rid of this guy and just do these ones, the average is actually 67% or closer to that. Or if I add in the 103%, the average is 71%. So if the average is actually closer to 71%, if I remove that one guy, then my being at 86 is only a few spots over. Probably not going to be an issue, but at the very least, it's going to be much less work dealing with this than it is trying to fix the other page. So there you have it, folks. Out of the box, our tool is doing more work for you. It's giving you less risk. It's saving you money. It's saving you time. The other writers, you don't even know if you're in the right green areas you need to be in. If these 4 scores were not important for SEO, I wouldn't make them, and I wouldn't bother to make people doing them. It's not a good sales pitch for me to make it harder for you to do SEO. If I wanted to be a snake oil salesman and make a tool that didn't work, then I would just make a scale like everybody else and say, oh, you're in the green, congrats, and then not give 2 shits if you ranked or not. That's not how we operate here. We care. We try to build a good tool. We're always trying to redo the tool and build the tool to make the best tool, because we use it to rank ourselves. So those 4 scores, as I've shown statistically, do correlate to rankings. You need to go check that. And our tool gets you there faster, better, sexier, cheaper, and easier. So I think that's a great thing. George, if you have any final comments or other comments on that, let me know. I'm going to quickly check to see if there's any questions while you're talking on that.
Not much, just that pay attention. It's a fun game until it doesn't work in your favor. But that's what these tools are for,
Yes.
so you can dig in and look at the data and look at the statistics. I was just looking at my Skype the other day, because I've been hanging out with you since the Skype days.
Yes.
That was 5 years ago, at least. And we don't do things the same way.
No.
You got to pay attention, right? You got to and go with the flow of what Google is asking for. And something that this tool does well is it knows what Google's asking for. And it's not static. You mentioned that you're updating things. It's because you're changing things because you're updating it. You're constantly updating this tool to be better,
Yeah.
or at the very, very least to continue to do as well as it's been doing,
Yeah. Yes,
and
that's
not
the
and not
idea.
and not drop off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because again, we've both been around long enough, and there's been enough tools out there that um, like take Jarvis, for instance, right? Everyone was ranting and raving about Jarvis and how they're getting rankings left and right. Jarvis didn't change anything,
Yeah.
right? And guess what? Now no one uses it
No.
because it doesn't do anything, don't work.
Yeah. And that's the problem, and so that's why tools like ours do need to update and they do need to stay current. And that's why, and the group that George is talking about is SEO University, and George has been a member probably since the very beginning. And that's why we do all that research in SEO University to find out what the testing factors are, and to test what the ranking factors are, to see how Google's actually doing the rankings, so that we can make our methods apply to that and get actual good rankings. But we can make a tool that actually is in sync with that to get the good rankings for people as well. So there are a couple questions here. I just want to address them before we sign off. So Troy says, do on-page AI writers work as good as backlinks? So we kind of addressed that. Was it Troy or Trey? Sorry. Troy. We kind of addressed that a bit, Troy. Yes, it's not an either or, right? It's not like you can just have garbage up there and then get backlinks and rank it. You need both on-page SEO and you need off-page SEO in many cases as well. But as we said, if you do proper on-page SEO, you need less off-page SEO. So if you do proper on-page SEO, you'll literally save yourself money in off-page SEO, and you'll save yourself risk of the whole thing failing, of the whole SEO failing. And that's by getting better on-page. So you need both. So it's not an either or question. You definitely need both. But the AI writers are, as I showed here on the show, are not going to do a good job. They're going to get you worse scores, and they're going to be more work. And even worse, as George pointed out, you're not even going to know by using those writers if you're in the score or not. You don't even know. It's like ignorance is bliss. It's like if you don't know there's a spam problem, you don't care about the spam problem until your rankings don't work and you're scratching your head. Why didn't it work? And then you have to go work as a sales clerk somewhere. So we don't want you to get a job somewhere else. We want you to be successful in SEO, which is why we show you the scores and we show you where they need to be. And we try to make content that hits that or as close to that every single time as possible. Danny says, I tested it in Dutch language, but still not useful for Dutch. Danny, we have, if you're talking about AI content, you're right. We have many users from the Netherlands who are writing content in Dutch. So I know that SEO Copilot works for them, and I have the stats of how they're doing, and they're doing very well too. So SEO Copilot definitely works in Dutch, but other AI writers, no, they're not going to do that. They're going to do even worse a job, because all AI development being done now is being done by the US, quite frankly. And the US, of course, is an English-centric country. So most of the technology is going to work in English. And so because we have a lot of people from the Netherlands in SE University, I guess they like science, they like the way we do things. And we also have a lot of people in SEO Copilot from the Netherlands. They've translated it to Dutch, and there's still the occasional bug here or there, but overall they're doing very, very well. And they've taken 20 hours of SEO work and they've got it down to 2 minutes. There's no way you can beat taking 20 hours of SEO work on page and bringing it down to 2 minutes. That even if it's buggy every fifth day, which it's not, but even if it was, there's no way you could beat that, right? Magnus says, there's some form of obfuscated JS code at the bottom of the page trying to parse what it does. I'm not really sure what you're talking about there. Tyler says, do you have a tool that builds product web pages and catalog pages? Tyler, we can build any kind of page in SEO Copilot. The only thing is that you need to paste in your products afterwards, but that's fine. Typically, that wouldn't be handled in your CMS. You'd have WordPress for the textual portions, and then in your template, you'd be pulling in your product pages. So the short answer is yes, we can write content for anything. An SEO page is an SEO page is an SEO page. That's another thing that I don't think people realize. They think there's a difference between a product page and a category page. From an SEO perspective, there is no difference whatsoever. It's just keywords in places. That's it. For SEO, that's it. There's keywords in places. Google doesn't care, and I don't care on that level of writing the content, of putting the right helpful keywords, expertise keywords, authority keywords, product review keywords, semantic keywords, and not spamming it too much in the right ratios, putting all those keywords in there. SEO doesn't care about product page or review page from that perspective. That only comes in from the perspective of, your clients want you to make XYZ kind of page, or Google's only going to rank that kind of page, so you want to make it. I'm not talking about that at all. What I'm talking about is from an SEO textual content generation perspective, they're all the same. Do you want it to be more sales, bottom of the sales funnel focused, or more informational? You do have that option of tailoring that in SEO Copilot. So you can definitely mix and
I like
match that content.
to make a comment on that idea between the category and the product. Um, I think what a lot of folks don't understand when they're dealing with that is, if you're trying to sell an Apple phone, or say, I don't know, the latest tennis shoe, so is everyone else.
Mhm.
That's a very, these are very, very not wide, but very very competitive in the sense that everyone has a page about that. You're
Mhm.
competing with everybody,
Yeah.
right? And if they're all doing their due diligence, you might actually have 20 people with perfect pages,
Yep.
right? There's only 10 spots on the first page. Well, matter of fact, I guess less than that now.
Yeah. In
But
some cases, yes.
it's okay. So yeah, I mean, you're dealing with a lot. So when people ask that question, like, oh, my on page isn't doing enough, like, I don't like, can this do it? It's like, yes, you can do it, and it can get you to that quote unquote perfect on page, but you're never, like, again, you're never going to know unless you use this tool.
Hmm.
um but other people are going to be getting, really really close otherwise, because it's going to be that competitive on some of these terms, or some of these products. um and and again, and that's when you start looking at some of the more quote unquote dodgy things, because it's so competitive, because that's just the nature of the beast.
Hmm.
But that said, you still want to be as far forward with your on page as possible. And you're not going to get there without something like a SEO Copilot.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why, uh, that is completely true. So there's two things. One, I'll do the smaller point for it than the bigger over point second. The smaller point is, so then at the end of the day, after you've generated the content, you've constructed it here, take it with all of your product names and all your product specifications, paste it back into SEO Copilot, and then run the scores again to make sure you're in the green for all those, because there can be a ton of keyword stuffing that happens in product name areas and whatnot. So you want to make sure that, and if everyone's doing it, you're fine. You just need to be in the same ratio that they're doing it in. So that's where you want to make sure you compare with everybody else. Some spam scores can be very, very high. So you want to make sure you're comparing with everybody else there. And some of the other EMQ scores can be very high as well. So you have some leeway there to mesh with them. But George raised another great point, which is kind of a meta point on top of this. It's like, also, why do you want to try to rank category pages or product pages in the first place? That might not be where you get your best bang for your buck in SEO. You might want to go here into SEO Copilot and go into keyword discovery, and you might want to fire in some keyword discovery here first to find the actual niches you want to compete in instead, and find pages that have a better keyword review ballpark and that are easier to rank in, because that might actually get you pages that you actually have a chance of ranking for, and you don't have to worry instead about trying to rank for pages that are way too competitive because everyone and their dog is already competing there. So that's another thing to keep in mind. There's a couple other questions there. Let me just quickly get to these. And if you have any more questions, please fire them in. Levan says, hey man, so I was hit by the keyword stuffing algo in November 2019, reversed it by getting rid of keyword mentions. Any ideas if I can revert the keyword again?
I would like to answer this one,
Please.
if possible. Get SEO Copilot, and then you'll find out.
Yeah. The slightly longer version of the short version that George just said, which is entirely correct, is that was a long time ago, Levan. November 2019. That's done. That's 5 years ago. So that the algo doesn't even exist anymore. They don't even use it anymore. You're in a completely new state. Here's another, I think, another mistake the SEO industry does. They think there's only one algo that hit them, and it's 5 years ago, and they think it's still hitting them. It's not. It doesn't work that way. It's like that rogue wave from 5 years ago that hit my ship, that put a little water in the bilge. That's I just gotta reverse that rogue wave. You're in a different ocean. Like the ocean has changed. It's not even the same thing. It's totally different. You need to keep sailing now with what you got now. So you
Yeah,
need to.
there's no Google SEO conspiracy against you.
Yes, that's another good point. Yeah, yeah. A lot of people get like that. Yeah, they feel like they feel like they own their rankings. I've always had them, Josh. I own this ranking. Sorry, no, you don't. Sorry. One, two. They think an algorithm from 5 years ago is still affecting them. Probably not. Google updates things all the time. It's probably not the same algorithm that's probably affecting you. It's probably different stuff affecting you. So you don't. So I have good news for you, Levan or Levin or however you pronounce your name. Not sure. Um, uh, uh, Forget about it. You can let that go. You can let that go. You can let all that worry go. That algorithm probably doesn't exist anymore, and it's a moot point at this point. You just need to start doing SEO from now. So I would try SEO Copilot for free for 2 weeks, no credit card needed. I might give it a couple of days while we just get the kinks out of the system, transitioning engineering teams. Or you can email me at joshbachynski@gmail.com, and we can start talking about your SEO and get you working for what is working today. All right, let me check to see if there's any other questions there. All right, awesome. All right, well, I'd like to thank everyone for watching. Those tests were very fascinating. The bottom line is SEO Copilot, an AI tool like SEO Copilot, can help you build faster. Go to SEOCopilotAI.com, try free for 2 weeks. Again, if you're watching this live, it might be down for a day, but if this is past Wednesday, if this is past May 8th, you should be fine. Go onto the system, try it out. I also have coupons for 10% off in the description. And then also try a free course on there. Come into our free course and learn some stuff about SEO in general, but mostly SEO Copilot was what that course is for. And if you have any questions, email me at joshbachynski@gmail.com. Also, George, why don't you give us your contact information so people can get in touch with you if they have any more questions?
All right. Yeah. So again, I'm George Johnson from George Digital. You can find me at georgedigital.net. I'm also in a little bit of a transition with my website, but it's a whole thing. But I specialize in more of the local SEO, and dare I say the things that we don't talk about, some more dodgy things. But don't worry. I do utilize SEO Copilot to make sure that on page is where it's supposed to be
Yeah.
before that is even taken into consideration. Uh, so anyway, yeah, so find me at georgedigital.net, George J at georgedigital.net. If you have any questions about local SEO, any more in particular, ranking on Google Maps, that's a big fun thing I'm doing now these days, and people are excited about that.
Yeah. The
Yeah, that's
GMVs.
it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
GBPs now.
GBPs. Oh,
Great.
they changed
Yes, yes.
the acronym.
Google Google
Business
Business
profile.
Profile.
Ah,
Yeah, the Great
ah.
British Pound if you try to search it.
The great, yes, the great, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes, so awesome. Thanks, George, very much. So, guys, contact George for any local questions. I'm just gonna say the new Black Hat SEO is White Hat SEO done efficiently. White Hat SEO is the new Black Hat SEO. So just get AI working for you, and you can literally reduce your costs by 99.5% and reduce your time by 99.2% on all your SEO you're doing. It's a no-brainer. Test it out in a couple days, and I think you'll see as well. And we have the same amount of questions. Great. So thanks, George, for that, and we'll see you guys next week. Now let me see if I can figure out how to turn this damn thing off.